Concern about air quality usually centers on pollution, as in the ironic observation, if you can't see it, don't breathe it. Increased reliance on coal is a crucial part of the Carter administration energy program, but the Senate Energy and Natural Resources Committee heard warnings today that a coal-burning society may be making things hot for itself. Nelson Benton reports.
The so-called greenhouse effect is created by carbon dioxide, a colorless, odorless gas. In small concentrations, it helps to sustain almost all life on Earth. The relatively small amounts of carbon dioxide in the Earth's atmosphere filter the warming rays of the sun to the Earth's surface. But like a greenhouse, carbon dioxide also prevents heat given off by the Earth from escaping into space. Researchers say increasingly large amounts of CO2 are accumulating in the atmosphere. They fear the Earth will gradually become warmer, causing as yet uncertain but possibly disruptive changes in the Earth's climate 50 to 70 years from now. Fossil fuels, when burned, release carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. Coal, the worst culprit, oil and natural gas to lesser degrees. Scientists and a few politicians are beginning to worry that global energy planning does not take the greenhouse effect seriously enough. If the Earth gets too warm, for example, ice caps could melt, raising the level of the sea.
Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Environmental Coffee House. It's really great to see all of you. I may need a little sound test tonight. I reset up my mic, and I don't think it's loud enough, although I did do a test. Well, it's great to see you guys. Hello, Kim. I just saw Kim on Nicole Sandler's feed, and I have to say it was the Raphael Warnock versus Herschel Walker, the football player, debate for Georgia in the United States, and a football player that has problems, right? And it was just, I couldn't listen, but I had to get ready for this show anyway. And thank you, Jim. Thank you. Okay, it's perfect. Sounds great. Yes, that's wonderful. It's good to see you guys. I was away, as you know. I went to Vermont. It was it was a great trip. I went with Sam, and we went to see his sister and her husband, and I photographed, and I didn't really, this is behind me is from, I think it's from it might be from somewhere, his sister's house. Well, anyway, it was a nice trip. I got away. I got to take a breath. But it was hard on me to take that kind of driving anymore. I mean, like, wow. And then, you come home. Here, wait a second. I got to mute myself. Okay. And then you come home and there's like a million things waiting for you, plus 5 cats. No, 7 cats. What am I thinking? So, all right. So I'm just going to do a little check here and make sure all of the audio, it looks good. All right. This is good. I'm happy. All right. I hadn't touched the software. And to do that, everything had to log me back in. So anyway, this Reverend Warnock, and it threw me because this Herschel Walker is such a disaster. I mean, it is sad. It is sad. And my daughter just moved back after 6 months in Atlanta. I don't know what happened there, but all right. So tonight, we are going back. COP 20, what is it, 27? I forget. COP 27. And I do have an article in Counterpunch by a gentleman named Stan Cox, and I'm going to read this one. We're going to go over this one, then we're going to just have some conversation. We're going to look at some news. We're going to look at the website, see what the activism is going on. Oh my God. Oh yes, Scott Hunt, it was torture. Scott, it was torture. I'm looking at 3 things, by the way, guys, so trying to get used to this. Yeah, it was torture. Okay, anyway. So, let's, Reverend S, I love you guys. You're all great. It's so great. Bila, Kim, hi, Matt. It's great to have you here. All right, so I am going to set up this article so we can get started. And, get me up there with the clouds. All right. So this is Counterpunch. I found this and I thought, well, let's see what this is all about. What is he talking about? Real climate action isn't at COP 27, but it is in 1,000 rebellious communities. Well, let's see. Stan actually is quite a writer too. Let me see. He does a lot of stuff for Counterpunch, so he's a regular. All right, let's get going. I wanna impart this wisdom here. So 2 high-profile events will coincide next month. One of them, the U.S. midterm elections, will conclude. It'll conclude November 8th. Could provide the strongest indicator yet of which way our society will turn in the near future, toward an inclusive, pluralistic democracy or towards the anti-democratic semi-fascism of the MAGA right. It could go either way. In contrast, the other big event, and should I play a sound effect for the other big event if I can get my little thing off there? What other big event is coming up? It's, it's COP27. And we've been talking about this for years, and it's another one. Indeed, the election results could have more profound consequences for the Earth's climate than the climate conference will have. If in November of 2022 and 2024, pro-democracy candidates prevail at the polls and the will of the voters, oh God, is not overturned, passage of bold new climate legislation won't be guaranteed, but the possibility will remain alive. Okay. So if, however, by hook or crook, MAGA politicians prevail in large enough numbers to seize control of both houses of Congress and the White House, any chance for effective national climate action in the United States will be lost for years to come. Like, okay, years to be like, will we even be here? We'll talk about the article after. So in either event, expansion of local struggles for climate action and environmental justice will be needed more than ever as a foundation for a bigger, stronger national movement. This month, I spoke with 2 climate activists who are working tirelessly towards those goals. Well, I want to keep fracking out of here. Liz Karosick is a visual artist and a climate activist with XR in DC. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Karosick says that while protecting and extending the right to vote is important, it's not sufficient. The system's not working. If voting was enough, the will of the people would go into the voting booths. They would be represented here in Washington, and it is not. That makes it even more important, she says, for more people to take part in grassroots movements in order to build those numbers before things progress even further into the future, that scary future. And it's only 2030. I mean, that's the scary future, really. That kind of organizing is, by its very nature, local. And what better place to energize national climate mitigation through local environmental justice organizing than in the nation's capital. So that's why she says XRDC has kicked off a campaign against Washington Gas Light Company, the city's sole supplier of fossil gas. So traditionally known by the euphemism natural gas, and we have all been brainwashed by that in the past, right? The natural gas. And there was about 30 seconds I actually believed it was natural gas. Hope you can see, let me see if I can make this overlay a little bigger. I gotta play, guys. I didn't have enough time for much. All right, so we know. We do, because we're old enough, most of us, So Washington Gas has some of the oldest distribution lines in the nation. And a 2014 survey found more than 6,000 leaks in the system. About 4 leaks per mile of pipe, largely in the city's low-income and black neighborhoods, of course. Yes. Some of the leaks posed a serious explosion risk. The company responded by launching a 40-year, $5 billion program to replace the entire pipe system. Because installation of new gas infrastructure would throw the city's climate mitigation goals completely out of reach, XRDC is demanding that the DC Council stop the pipe replacement project, except for emergency repairs of hazardous leaks, and just immediately launch a transition away from the gas that prioritizes DC's most marginalized people and ends in the city's dependence on gas. Remember, we have to give them something else. Fossil gas is a threat to humanity and the earth at both the largest and smallest scales. A federation of state-based, citizen-funded public interest research groups, PIRG, reports that gas leaks across the U.S. from 2010 through 2021 led to the release of 26.6 billion cubic feet of methane, with a global warming impact equivalent to more than 2.4 million internal combustion vehicles driven a year. Where's my side effect of that? My choking side effect. Meanwhile, open gas flames from stoves, furnaces, water heaters also produce large quantities of nitrogen dioxide and other indoor air pollutants. These gases can cause severe respiratory problems affecting children, especially, and are found disproportionately in low-income and black communities. So an XRDC press release has more on the campaign to pressure the DC Council to phase out gas as quickly as possible. Karosick stresses that what she calls hyper-local actions, such as the DC fossil gas campaign, are really necessary building blocks of global climate action. And I did this, and we won against the Northern Access Pipeline, and it really was good. And then we haven't had it built yet, which is really good. I get a sense that some people are confused, like, hey, fossil fuels are a global problem, much bigger than a local gas campaign. So why is this an issue? But strategically, we're mobilizing with an issue that's local, that will build momentum behind local demands, like telling Washington Gas, nope, you can't spend $5 billion on new pipes to lock us into 40 years more of burning fossil gas. This is a way to change the trajectory, electrify the city. We feel that this is winnable, and then we can go back to expanding upon broader demands. We're finding leverage points where we can access the people who have decision-making power and move public opinion. I suppose you could say, look, we know the long term, the tipping points are tipped, and you really can't reverse this, but all these people are trying to do something different to try to make it not business as usual. So there you go. Taking on Tesla, the way that young people have been taking the lead in climate in recent years has been especially heartening to Karosick, who says the climate movement is hoping for a massive influx of members in years to come, which means those young people that, if you saw my opening video, they were like sleeping, because we have to wake up many, many more, and not just the museum kids, which you've all heard about. So it's a matter of explaining to them what the problem is, that they're very aware of that. Still, groups like Extinction Rebellion can offer solidarity and additional opportunities for mobilizing. And she says, in our case, that indicates nonviolent civil disobedience as the mechanism to get the government to pay attention and make change. I wish. As it happens, I also had the opportunity recently to interview Alexandria Leclerc, 22, a climate and environmental justice activist and co-founder of the nonprofit Start Empowerment. Our conversation took place on stage at the Land Institute's annual Prairie Festival. I should find some prairie music, huh? I'm going to look for something. I bet I have something to play behind the rest of it. All right, let's get into the mood. All right. So in 2019, she, after I guess the Prairie Festival, she began working with the environmental justice group PODOR, People Organized in Defense of Earth and Her Resources. Okay. In Austin, Texas. Formed in 1991, PODOR has an impressive track record. As she explained, Austin is highly segregated due to redlining. East Austin is largely black and brown community, zoned industrial. A bunch of community members came together and started organizing to fight the dirty industries there. They started petitioning door to door, talking to the media, hosting toxic tours for politicians so they could see the condition that community members were living in. So PODOR was increasingly successful. They kicked 6 major oil companies out of East Austin. Holy shit. Pretty good, huh? All right, so there's some good stuff. All right. I do like every now and then a win. So East Austin, it was being plagued by a host of problems, including pollution from gravel mining operations and lack of access to clean and affordable water. And then there's Elon Musk's electric vehicle company, Tesla. According to Leclerc, Tesla came in with 0 plans for community engagement. We built out a coalition and started talking to the press to the point where they had to answer our emails and they had to come talk to us. So you could, that's the keyboard, you could really tell from their company culture that this wasn't something that they necessarily cared about. They saw East Austin community members as a workforce to exploit. Just as they were exploiting the land, the air, and the water. Loose regulations in Texas are one of the main reasons they're there. Leclerc told the audience, we're trying to push Tesla to make commitments such as ecological restoration, community education programs, hiring Spanish speakers, and having programs for Spanish speakers to learn English. But in dealing with any corporation, she said, it's always kind of like back and forth dance. How much do you really want to collaborate with them? How much external pressure do you apply? It's a fine line. And this is Elon Musk. Okay, so look at that. This is a handmade picture. Can you see it? Of the tech mining company open pit Elk River Valley coal mines located in southern British Columbia along the Alberta border. It was drawn by Pretty Gulati Cox from a photograph by Garth Lenz. These people were fined $60 million for polluting the rivers in March 2021. Wow. So here we move on, taking a stand against Manchin's side deal. I work outside the system, trying to build a community and resilience of mutual aid. And I also do work that's more like inside the system, both local and federal, said Leclerc. At the time we spoke, her inside efforts were focused on a measure then before the U.S. Senate to speed up the permitting of energy projects. Ugh. The legislation would theoretically streamline all energy sources. However, its primary sponsor, Democratic Joe Manchin, this guy, Joe Manchin. Okay, Joe Manchin. I don't know if Earl is here, but Joe Manchin, he definitely gets the flush of the day. All right, that's the guy. There's the first guy. All right. Yeah. Flush of the day. Goodbye, Joe. All right, so Leclerc joined a group of fellow activists. Oh, wait, I missed a little bit, but all right. So she was inside working. Really. She joined a group of fellow activists in signing an open letter opposing the Manchin side deal. At last count, the letter had been signed by more than 600 grassroots groups and individuals, as well as 7 U.S. senators and 70 House members. So we've been doing a lot of lobbying, a lot of phone calls, and a lot of press as well. A few days after we spoke, she headed to D.C. with the Environmental Justice Leadership Forum, a coalition of around 50 grassroots BIPOC-led environmental justice organizations to turn that heat up, the proverbial heat that we want to get rid of, on Congress. And they won. Faced with fierce opposition from grassroots groups and anti-gas congressional Democrats, and as well as many Republicans who, while favoring quicker permitting of pipelines, were furious at the often inscrutable senator for voting yes on the IRA. Manchin withdrew his permitting measure from the Senate's year-end funding bill. That's a good thing. Okay, so he did that. Next month, she will travel to Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt. Oh, okay. Let's make sure I pronounce that right, because COP is there. And as with all past COPs, she says, most of us in the grassroots groups do not expect radical change to come out of it because of who's leading it and because the Paris Climate Agreement doesn't have teeth anyway. We can't have a top-down revolution. It has to be bottom up. We're attending COP27 just to make sure our voices are there and we're not being completely screwed over at the same time we're building movements at home to create the change that needs to happen. And in trying to build those movements, we have to ask, how can we create alternative systems that are not colonial, not capitalist? And of course, we need more people. It's not something to be glamorized. So responding to a festival audience member, a climate activist who had observed firsthand what she called the over-exploitation of the energy passion and the labor of young people involved in the work, which can sometimes lead to burnout, Leclerc was blunt. I think every youth activist I know is burnt out, which is a problem. In organizing, there's very much of a culture of having to do more and more and more at the expense of ourselves. And we need to shift away from that. We need both self-care and collective care because we're looking to build a sustainable movement, and it doesn't work to have people burn out and leave. So we need to make sure that when we're opposing systems like capitalism, we don't perpetuate them in our own work. So making sure we have time off, we're respecting boundaries, we're distributing work fairly. The media like to kind of glamorize the youth movement, but it's not something to be glamorized. I'm honored to be doing the work that I'm doing, and so are all the incredible youth that I've met. But I don't think that kids, especially young kids, should be responsible for doing all the hard work. Well, those young kids, they didn't ask for this. So, anyway, she says, I think it's really important for us to encourage intergenerational organizing and making sure that everyone of all ages gets involved and does their part to create a more sustainable movement. So, a few years ago, Leclerc and her friend Keir Blake set out to help build that more sustainable movement by co-founding Start Empowerment, which describes itself as a BIPOC-led social and environmental justice education nonprofit working with youth, educators, activists, and community members, rather than emulate mainstream environmental education programs by focusing on the physical and biological sciences. Leclerc said she and Blake, they want to emphasize the political component, the justice component. There are things that are not usually taught in schools. She's got to think about this thing, though, that in the schools in the United States, there is a big cluster mess of like pulling. It's like playing the game of tug of war. It's a hard one. All right, so youth spend most of their time in these schools for 13 years, K through 12. That's a long time not to be learning about the climate crisis, about environmental justice, about organizing, about politics. I have to interject again. The kids learn it. They learn it online. They go to social media, but it's a crapshoot where they land. The gaps in learning, she said, they're a huge barrier to taking any kind of action. Before we can make any progress on climate and justice, there has to be a mass education and not necessarily, in formal spaces. The program is not just conveying knowledge, Leclerc stressed. Rather, we're building knowledge together. It was really cool to see students connect their lived experience with some of the ideas we were introducing to them and have them share what their perspective is from growing up in their neighborhoods and how they saw environmental justice and injustice play out. So in the peril-filled decade ahead, and I'm giving you a decade, at least they're taking small chunks at a time. Local collective struggles by people of all ages, as exemplified by Extinction Rebellion, PODOR, and Start Empowerment, will be essential to advancing multiracial, pluralistic democracy and climate justice nationwide. Democracy and justice are prerequisites for ending our transgression of ecological boundaries and assuring a livable future for all. Okay, after watching earlier that Reverend Warnock and Herschel Walker, this seems like such hopium that anything like this is ever going to happen in the United States. I don't know what you guys think out there of what I just read. What do you think? I think that, let's see, Bila, new research emphasis that it's the rich and powerful and their financial investments that are most responsible for rising carbon emissions, with world leaders weeks away from meeting. Yep. Yeah, and but they will be Coca-Cola. I saw that on Twitter, and I'm gonna actually was gonna show that. Maybe I'll find it. Okay, well, before we move on, there's not much to move on to. Actually, I wanted some conversation around just Twitter. And hi, guys. It's really there's some new people, and I will have the articles in the show notes. So this is what's happening. This is Extinction Rebellion, and there's the climate change, different pages that are here. Worldwide, let's see, 570 views. But on Tucker Carlson, they'll talk about AOC and get almost 1 million. And I mean, Marjorie Taylor Greene makes AOC look like a Rhodes Scholar. However, it's just insane what our priorities really are. It really is. I don't know if I can play this. I'll try and see if you guys can hear it. Let's see. No, I don't have the system effects, I don't think. But anyway, I didn't put them on, but I could try. Let's see. Sound effects. System. It's always fun to play in a live show. You know that? It really is. Okay, I'm going to go back to the screen sharing and I guess I can't. So we'll go back to where we were and we will get the screen share on. All right, I guess I'm not going to be able to do that. I do have one video for you guys that I thought you might enjoy. Anyway, you can check out all this on Twitter yourselves. There was one I saw that was not. Let me see. Let me go back to COP 27, and it was the guy, and it's not going to play because I didn't set up the system. Oh, system audio's on. I can play this. All right, look at this. This is where you got it, Bila. The new Coke, the Coca-Cola open eco side, and are they really sponsoring the COP? Wow. Okay, so oh look, that's playing on Twitter. Nobody's watching it, but I still share it all over the place. Let's see if I can find that. It was COP 27. No, I don't think I'm going to be able to find exactly what I was looking for. Hey, that's cool to see, though, that it is playing, even if I ever did the marketing, which I don't do much of. I don't know. All right, I'm going to play this. This is good. We're going to watch this little clip, and then we're going to come back to this because it's really the first one, and the system audio is going, and you guys tell me.
The world has seen a lot in the last 1 year. A lot has changed since the last UN climate change conference till today. We are waiting for COP27, which is to be convened in Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt between 6 to 18 November. So before I tell you what might happen at the summit, let me rewind what happened in COP26, some of the bigger takeaways that happened. India committed to carbon neutrality for the first time. They plan to do it by 2070. 40 nations agreed to phase out coal power generation, but India, China and USA were not a part of the agreement. India focused on phase down coal usage versus phase out coal usage. China, Russia and India also did not sign the pledge for methane emissions. But as I said, a lot has changed since the last COP. We saw the Ukraine-Russia crisis, which sent shockwaves across the energy markets, leading to shortage, inflation, rising electricity prices. We also saw massive heat wave in Europe, forest fires in the US, and flash floods in Asia. Climate clock has been ticking, and how? On the back of this, the focus is on executing the promises made in COP26. But the energy landscape has really changed. It is very important to see how much of it can actually be achieved this time. Loss and damage. This discussion is expected, which is basically done when climate change is beyond what people can actually adapt to, and it impacts the vulnerable communities the most. So that is something that would be point of discussion. The big talking point has been climate finance, the unfulfilled promise by the developed countries. In COP26, they renewed this promise to meet target of $100 billion of climate finance by 2023, and developing countries argued that funding is required from developed countries to fight climate change for sure. But things have taken a turn for the worse since then, right? And hence, this could be discussed in greater detail yet again. Coal phase out, the much debated topic in COP26. 40 countries spoke about phasing out of coal completely for usage of power generation. But renewable sources due to the Russia-Ukraine war have become more expensive. Gas prices are at a record high, there is less water availability due to heat wave, which is forcing energy giants to return to fossil fuel usage. Will countries really be able to phase out coal usage in this case? Well, only time will tell us. But this is going to be an important conference for climate change, where a holistic approach to climate change is being worked out. Execution of this is of prior importance.
Okay, so I thought that was informative. All right, I don't know how you guys felt about it. Let's see, where are you? Jim, yeah, 2070, definitely zero emissions by one on an extincted planet. Took me a week to get done being pissed after COP 26. I know, I know. I know Paul Beckwith is trying to raise the funds to go. I want him to go because he is a non corporate scientist. So, with Paul, at least, all right, he's going, but he's going with the best intentions, the best heart. Really, really good heart. Oh, what was that? Hi, Melanie. I'm just saying, oh, yes, Wyon is strong on real news. Yes, yes, Rich. I do believe so, too. That's why I had it on. So I wanted to show one more website here. And this is the WWF. And I'm going to show you something that kind of like really pissed me off. So they've got this whole thing. So world wildlife populations plummet by 69%. All right, there we go. And the Living Planet report and interlinked emergencies, all this stuff. But I'm going to take you down here. All right, tracking the health of nature over 50 years. The Living Planet Index, which tracks, and I wonder, that's big enough, birds, fish, mammals, reptiles, and amphibians, reveals an average 69% decrease in monitored wildlife populations since 1970. The 2022 LPI analyzed almost 32,000 species populations. It provides the most comprehensive measure of how they are responding to pressures on the environment. Oh, look at that scale. Simple scale, like all the animals, 1970, 80, 90, just going down. And you know why that happened? Because the fossil fuel industry had control of the planet, the world, every government, the oligarchs. They've been around forever. I re-listened to William Catton talk about that. I re-listened to a lot of stuff over the last couple of days, and look at that. And so, what is this Council of the Parties going to be able to bring them back? Yeah, and the factory farm industry too sucks big time. So, the Mears Project, I'm going to have to look more into that. Like I said, I would until summer came and growing. This was yesterday. I read this. Alaska snow crab season canceled due to lack of crabs. So I made the comment on Twitter that basically restaurants, especially in the United States, really need to rethink menus. I think the whole industry needs to be rethought. There are way too many restaurants in the United States. It seems to be an industry that I think we may have to get rid of because there's no way that it's sustainable. It's not sustainable. So there we go. And that was the WWF. And there was really, the world is waking up to the fact that our future depends on reversing the loss of nature just as much as it depends on addressing climate change. And you can't solve one without solving the other. Everyone has a role to play in reversing these trends. Okay, I'm off this. We're going back to me because how do you do that actually? I want to know how you do that. Are we going to have all of their DNA? There you go, my little thing. Are you going to have all their DNA so that scientists can bring them all back when we do what? When we do what? And it's all the same thing, Sandy. Hi, Tom. It's great to have you guys here tonight. It really is. So, with fairy bells. That's right, because all of these people They just have the magical thinking that they're going to make it happen. I can't see it happening. We are at the point. However, keep activisming. Is that a word? Because people are going to. They're going to. Yeah, Scott says seafood restaurants are already a relic of the past, unless you want tilapia and cheddar biscuits. Yeah, I hear you, sweetheart. Yep. Oh my gosh. Well, anyway, I think I've done everything. I did it all. I mean, I have that video I started in the beginning. Maybe I'll play it towards the end. It was only a couple of minutes. Half of you didn't see it. And good show. Jennifer and I will be back on Tuesday night at what are we usually, 9 p.m.? Yeah, because of our time and she's working. Hi, Jean. Jean said, isn't it enough to see that the earth is beautiful without having to believe that there are riches in the crust too? Oh my God. No, because we extract everything. We extract, we fight. I'll end with this one. I was watching a show on English castles, and this dude has a travel channel on YouTube, and he goes all over, but I just got really hooked on his castle series, and he really details everything in the castle, from the bow and arrows, the skinny spots where the bow and arrows go through, the cannons, the things they threw shit out, the waterway. I don't remember the name of this one, but the waterway where when it was high tide, the boats would come in and unload the food and then go back out. You know, they would hide during low tide under the castle. This is, so long ago, so much history. It's always fighting. It's always fighting. It was very interesting to me. And all of this, our broken relationship with nature, it's been broken for a very long time. It actually really has. I mean, I have that right there. Our broken relationship with nature. Yep. It's a long time, guys. So thank you everyone who then does the little thing. I don't know. Let me see. The little buy me a coffee. I'm always tickled and it helps. It seems to be a very sweet helper for this channel because you guys are generous and not but nice. It's very nice. So thank you. You guys all know who you are. Okay? You all know who you are. So we'll see you Tuesday. If I don't come Sunday with a guest, I'm not sure because I have 2 days ahead of me of cleaning up outside before the winter. And I do want to make more videos from the trip to Vermont. I know a lot of people don't watch the videos. They really like Jennifer's show with me. I think everybody loves my show with Jennifer. I'm just going to keep on keeping on. I enjoy it. So, all right, guys, I guess it's time to go. And so let me figure out if I can shut off the right thing. All right. Peace out. I didn't see Earl, so he's going to have to hear his toilet flush on the rerun. All right, guys. You are all wonderful.